Hello, and welcome to Stressed for Success, where I dress well to hide my doubts and fear and shame. I think it's working. So today we'll be talking about project management. I mean, it only makes sense, right? This is the essence of what my blog is. And then if you're also one of those people, either by force or by choice, who has several balls up in the air, you gotta know how to juggle, right? I mean, maybe if they were balloons. So I'm convinced that there just aren't enough hours in the day, you know? Otherwise, how would I be able to fit in 2 hours of working on my novel, like an hour of studying Korean, 4 hours to work on auditions as they come up, you know, that tends to be a surprise and very last minute, 2 to 3 hours a week of working on our web series, all in with acting class, exercising, meditating, building that bookshelf that's been sitting on my floor for like 2 weeks, doing laundry, managing my budget, which we know I'm bad at, playing video games, binging like 3 different TV shows, and eating and sleeping. There's not enough time. I used to try to juggle everything. And when I say used to, I mean like up until last week. I'd wake up at 7. Alexa, shut up! I'd meditate. I'd sit down and I'd make a list of all of the most important things that absolutely have to get done before tomorrow. And because I have so many things that I'm working on at one time, everything has to get done before tomorrow. It's terrible. Generally, I'd start out strong. You know, I'd faithfully adhere to the schedule, mostly forgetting to eat, but you know, getting the stuff done in the morning. But then the inevitable happens. I get an audition, bam, 4 hours gone. Or I get sucked into one project, my novel usually, spend like way too much time on it, and then I have less time to do all the other things in my day. Or worse, feel too drained to really take on the next one, especially if it's too creative project. You're just, you know, you can't come up with the creativity. You can't just manifest creativity like, today I will be creative. Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. Oh, there's like a cat hair in my eye. Yep, there it is. Or I just get overwhelmed and start watching some episodes of Crash Landing on You to take a break, and then that just turns into 5 hours of me going like,
저도 데리고 가세요. 이게 다 저 때문이거든요. 저부터 조사하세요.
Yeah, just as a note, if you're gonna take a short break, don't watch TV. Especially not anything that's really addicting, which is everything these days, Jesus. So, you know, the big stuff for the most part, like half of that would get done, more or less, and then the small stuff, that's really the stuff that suffered. That's the stuff you tend to just push to the side because you're like, I have to get these projects done. Who cares about, I couldn't think of anything. Who cares about, other small things, eating, checking the mail, washing the dishes, brushing my teeth. No, I generally brush my teeth. I mean, so as a result, I would go to bed with this just awful, awful guilt. You know, do you ever do that to yourself? You're supposed to do something and it's hanging over your head all day like a dark, angry storm cloud, and you know it's there, but you're persisting. I'm just like, I'm gonna play like 4 more games. And then you get to the end of your day and you realize you didn't do that thing and you just feel like, oh, you just beat yourself up. Why didn't you do it? You had the time. You're worthless. You're not good at doing anything. Blah, 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 blah. All the thoughts that maybe crowd in your head when you feel like a failure to yourself. And that's like my biggest weakness. I put the project on myself, but I don't have a good like repercussion system in place for when I don't do the thing I'm supposed to do. So I end up not doing it, and then I'm just like, to my brain. I'm so mean to myself. And after days and days and weeks and COVID, on top of that, everything happening, it just makes you wonder, how on earth does anyone juggle anything? But I found a way to do it. By turning the balls into balloons. Stay with me here. Yeah, bitches. What? What? Extended metaphor alert. Well, it's not, okay, whatever. It's a metaphor. It's not that extended. Here we go. See, balloons are great, right? Balloons are great. They stay in the air for longer. They fall more slowly. And if they hit the ground, it's not a big deal, right? I mean, there's the odd chance my cat will like attack it and it'll pop, and that's a whole ordeal, but for the most part, if it falls on the ground, that's chill. See, for me, I had to be okay with letting a project drop every now and again. I don't mean for a long period of time, but you know, if I'm overwhelmed by my novel, I'm feeling some writer's block, I can let that sit for a couple of days and just focus on Korean. Or if I need to work in a very specific period of time on my web series and I have to push Korean out for the day, that's okay. Tomorrow I'll start reviewing and we'll catch back up. You know, it's okay to let some stuff drop because you can't keep 6 balloons in the air. I mean, maybe, but it's hard and you'll get sweaty. I've been sweaty ever since I did that. Super sweaty. I have a fan on right here and it's not great. It's short, like everything in my life. Oh. Anyway, the hard part isn't figuring out which ones to prioritize, because life kind of does that for you. You know, if you get an audition, you have to do the audition. You don't want to make your agent angry. Or yourself. Every opportunity you should take. Getting off topic. I digress often, sorry. The hard part isn't figuring out which ones to prioritize. The hard part is allowing one to drop and not beating myself up about it. We are our own worst critics. No one else comes up to you and is like, you're terrible, you're lazy. Maybe your parents, but if they do that, they need to stop. At this point, just don't call them anymore. Anyway, no one really goes up to you and just spews constant negativity. If you go to your friends and you share something negative, what do? They're like, no, that's not true. Or they're like, oh, but you also do this really well. I've read this online before, I think, but imagine that when you are criticizing yourself, that you are your own best friend, what would your best friend say? Listen to them, and they wouldn't criticize you. They wouldn't guilt you over these things. One of my best friends, I use her, she's my like inner voice when I feel like I'm being too harsh on myself. I'm like, what would Soleil say? And she's just always, well, you're really good at this, and you work so hard, and I know your dreams will come true, and I love her. Everyone needs an inner voice that's like a friend that is that kind of person for them. If nothing else, it'll make you giggle. I love Soleil. So this is why I called my perfectionism a curse in the previous video. It's not bad to want to do things well. It's not bad to not accept less than your best, but there's a negative side to every good thing, and there's a good side to every negative thing, you know? So perfectionism, yes, it ultimately ends up with you producing things that are really good, and people will tend to expect that of you, and that's, you know, that's good for job promotions, that's good for professional relationships, but wait for my neighbors to pass. They're really nice neighbors, I like them a lot. It's always nice when you get new neighbors and you're like, oh, who are these people? And then they walk by you and they're wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts. You're like, okay. If you need me to water your plants when you're gone, got it. Got it. But I think it can lead to both fear of presenting anything because you're worried if it's not perfect. Especially if you don't know if it's your first time doing something, like for example, my novel, I don't know what perfect is in a novel. So you could just end up spinning your wheels for years, just constantly looking, like improving. So there's that element. Also with auditions, never feeling like your character is ready enough. Or if you did it one way when you were home and then that didn't come out during your audition, feeling like that wasn't it. Perfectionism definitely can stall your product because you're afraid to show what you've done. You're afraid that it's not perfect yet. Second, it can lead to you berating yourself. If you don't stand up, if you don't measure up to the standards that you've set for yourself, you can be a really harsh critic about it. Maybe that worked in the past to get you up there. There's so much happening outside. Anyway, maybe that worked in the past to get you where you wanted to be, but it's not a sustainable thing. Like no one, do you remember that episode of SpongeBob where I love SpongeBob, by the way. I will constantly refer to it. I don't apologize. I am Squidward. Anyway, there's that episode of SpongeBob where he enters Gary into a snail race because he wants to beat Squidward's snail that Squidward just buys and then somehow is never seen again. I guess he abandoned it because it lost the race, which is not proper pet care practices, and it's terrible. Anyway, and SpongeBob only has like a day to train his snail, so he's just like, he's not helping Gary, he's just like, come on Gary, brr, go Gary, do it, eat these nails and this egg, because it's a cliche. He says a bunch of stuff, and he's like pushing Gary, and even when he's sleeping, Gary's still working, and by the time Gary gets to the actual race, guess what? He's not great. I think his shell explodes, one eye pops, both eyes pop. A lot happens. Gary is essentially, he just killed his snail, but it's a cartoon, so Gary's fine in the end, which is a better way for life to be lived. But the point is, that doesn't work. So don't do that to yourself. Don't be SpongeBob. Be Patrick. Remember he had a rock? And everyone's like, that's not a snail, Patrick, that's a rock. And he's like, I believe in this rock. He's got nerves of steel. Guess who won the snail race? Patrick's rock. He said, you take your time, Rocky, you get there. And his rock got there. That feels more poignant than it probably is, but I feel good about it. So here is what I've learned. Basically, if you want to manage a bunch of projects. Number one, you do need to be organized. It is good to have some sort of list system in place. Number two, allow things to drop. Prioritize certain tasks for certain days. Don't try to do everything every day. And if you don't get everything done that's on your list, be forgiving. Talk to yourself like you would if you were your own best friend. Don't be mean. Morale is like 80% of accomplishing anything, right? We didn't really talk about this, but I found that rewarding yourself is really awesome and really helpful as well, especially on days when you don't really want to do that one thing. There's days definitely where the perfectionism fear takes over and I'm like, I don't even want to touch my novel, or let me put off this audition for one more day. You know what you need to get done that day. If you need to get it done, promise yourself, I'm gonna eat some dark chocolate after this, or I'm gonna go for a walk, or watch more of Crash Landing on You. You get it. Whatever makes you happy, do that thing. That's what you need to do to help yourself do the things that you know you want to do. We've chosen to do like 8 different things at one time because we feel compelled to do these things. Even though it's hard, you know, I realized it's ironic. I decided to start a vlog about all the projects I'm doing. This is another project and it's a lot of work, but it's something I really want to do. I want to share what I'm working on. I want to see if anyone else is going through something similar. Even if you're not working on a bunch of projects, if you have that sense of doubt or anxiety or perfectionism, or you just want to accomplish one project and be really good at that one thing, there's stuff here that can help you, just like there's stuff here that's helping me, just talking it out and figuring out what's working for me and what's not. Ultimately, what I've learned thus far is that if you want to be great at anything, you have to be brave enough to fail at it. And I have failed at project management and time management so many times. And that's okay. Oops, I kicked the camera. But that's okay. You have to let yourself fail to learn from your mistakes. And that's the only way you're gonna get better, because if you don't know what mistakes are possible to fall into, you're gonna fall into them when it matters, you know? So learn from my mistakes, learn from your own mistakes, share your mistakes. Let's all just do these things we want to do and be awesome at them, because we're all awesome ass people. It's okay. Juggling is difficult. I can't juggle. I hate clowns, but I do like balloons. You know what that means? That was so weird. Okay, so that is the end of what I wanted to get through today. Thank you guys for watching. If you like where I'm headed, we're headed some weird places. This is just one little stop on the birth of this child. What? This is, my metaphor is just crossed. This is whatever, the beginning of something. Stay tuned to see where it's gonna go in future weeks. If you liked this stuff, please click the subscribe button, click the like button, write a comment, share your thoughts. If you have questions or answers or whatever, just share them. I'm always interested in reading what other people think. Okay, that's a lie. But I will, because it's on my video. Let's leave you guys with a lasting note here. They say that just smiling when you're feeling stressed or upset can trigger your brain to release dopamine and make you feel a lot better. So that's kind of the premise of my vlog, Stressed for Success. So even when I'm feeling super duper stressed and the inner turmoil is just like a raging storm with a boat that's about to capsize and like 6 really sad crabbers who are like, oh, here goes, I still want to smile. And I still want to put that smile all over me, AKA dressing really, really well. It's like when you feel sick, you dress and you look super duper hot and no one knows you're like inside because you look so good. It's a form of manifestation, ultimately. Doesn't matter what's going on inside. I'm gonna project the optimism and the organization and the I don't know, the success mindset that I want to have in my life, that I'm bringing into my life, outward, inward. Sometimes you can't control what's inside, but we can control what's outside. So, and sometimes we just wear sweats. But we're not talking about those days. These are the days when we're fighting for something that we really, really want to achieve. And I hope that you guys are gonna stay and fight with me, because this is gonna be rough. I'm really bad at signing off on time. I do this with people too, and you have like awkward small chat conversations. I really want to go, but they're still going. I'm just kind of like, yeah, oh, yeah, okay. Just fall silent and get out of frame. So I'm doing that here. Goodbye. This is it. We're done. Au revoir.